Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Welcome back to the Y&D podcast. If you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Make sure you subscribe, like, share, and engage us in the comment section. We're interested in hearing from you about this topic, and I know this is an important topic to everyone, whether you're in the diaspora or you're back home in Nigeria. Recently saw a post on Facebook that talks about how the brightest minds are wasting away in the diaspora looking for a way to become a permanent resident. And there's a lot of mixed reactions in the comment section of the post. And they're saying that Nigeria should be left to the people back home to take care of. And the people looking to go elsewhere, looking for a better living situation, looking for a decent way of life, to relocate if they want to. And Nigeria is not truly encouraging to the people that have really studied, have, invested a lot of time, energy, and money in becoming who they become. And at the end of the day, the system doesn't reward them adequately. These graduates not able to find a job. The government's not making finding jobs easy, not encouraging businesses to thrive. And a lot of these multinationals that they are always providing jobs are, relocated to another country because of the hard economic situations. Power being the major problem, cost a lot of money to run an operation, on generator, and it's not really encouraging. And when people graduate, they don't have a job, and most common jobs out there now are teaching jobs where you go to private schools and they'll offer you a very small amount of money that won't even cover your transport, depending on your location and everything like that. So if people are able to relocate and they believe it'll make their lives easier, it'll give them better quality of life, yes, they should definitely take care of it. And when the people back home start speaking up, start making changes, yeah, maybe the government will try to see a reason to fix the system, and the people that are looking for a permanent residency abroad can come back home to make some meaningful changes and become a part of the economy. And I'm sure the people that are still looking for a way to stay overseas, they're also investing back into the economy by either subsidizing their family members or subsidizing their friend. Many people in the diaspora they send money home monthly, some do weekly, just to take care of their family members, especially with the uh, rising costs of food, of shelter, and everything. So it's it's always challenging if you're not able to make a headway, and if you go back and see all of your people that you graduated college with, all the people that you graduated high school with, and the ones that remain in Nigeria, if they don't have good connections, they are probably not really enjoying their living situations. And if they have good connections, they're able to find a good paying job, they'll definitely be happy. I would say the percentage of people with better jobs, with good jobs, like they're really taking care of them, are very few. I can't even put a number on it. I would say 90% are struggling and maybe 10% are doing well. So I think it's the government's job to make the economy work again, to make the lives of the people better again. So you don't have to worry about insecurity issues. You don't have to worry about generating your own power. Don't have to worry about struggling just to live life. And that's why many people decide, hey, I'm gonna move out and take care of my family, take care of my unborn child, and give them a better life. What's your opinion on this topic?
Yeah, I think for most of us, we prefer to pray for our country from afar. Um, it's unfortunate that things are not working in Nigeria, and for a lot of for some people, they cannot just stomach, watching their family, wasting away. I use that loosely, wasting away. Some people will just, someone in the family may just decide to volunteer to move away to look for a greener pasture and from, there take care of the family. With the notion that people are wasting away in abroad, I think there's probably some truth to that. I think there's some truth to that. And then Some of that part of it can be debated, that somebody is in Nigeria does not mean that they will build big businesses. If you travel abroad, if you are destined to build a business, you would eventually build it one way or the other. We see people doing exploit here in America. I can speak for America for sure. I don't know people living in Canada, UK. I don't know about them, but for here, we see people building businesses, opening African stores, opening real estate companies, just about everything, and people going to school, getting to the peak of their career, achieving, academic success, people studying up to doctorate degree. And for some of them, if they were in Nigeria, they probably wouldn't have been able to do it. So the idea that people are wasting away here is a two-way traffic. Yeah, that you are in Nigeria does not necessarily mean that you build a big business. But there is also it's also true that we have a lot of us that come here from Nigeria, and sometimes before we move out from Nigeria, maybe we've been doing something big. A lot of people worked at the bank, although we know that banking in Nigeria is completely different from banking here. Some people probably maybe they were lawyers, they were doctors. I specifically know somebody that was a doctor in Nigeria. He came here and he decided that he wants to go to nursing school, and today he's a nurse. He was a doctor in Nigeria and he's a nurse here. And in fact, not quite long ago, a family came to visit my friend. The husband was a doctor in Nigeria. In fact, one of their child here, he was the one that delivered the child in Nigeria. And then, the wife is a nurse. The wife is working as a nurse here, but meanwhile, this guy went back and went to join the national guard. So, but does that necessarily mean that he's, wasting or that he's not doing what he's supposed to be doing? I guess maybe he has a plan in place, but the idea that somebody is here and wasting away, I don't think is the right notion. I think people sometimes when people come here, you know, they just want to relax. They just want to take care of their children. They just want to be, quote unquote, a family man and just go to work and they don't want any stress again. In fact, I have a friend, he don't do overtime. When we work together, that time they used to be a lot of, he don't work overtime. Even 2 minutes of overtime, he will not do it. He will just go home. You ask him why, he will tell you that throughout his youthful days, he hustled, he toiled, he wasn't really there for the children. Now is the time to be there for the children. He just work his hour and go home. If you try to force him to work extra, he will tell you that he don't want to do. So for some people, they just want the peace of mind. It's not necessarily that they want all the money. So it depends on how you look at it and how you see it and the motivation behind, people's action.
Definitely. And poverty will motivate you to do a lot of things you don't want to do. Poverty is a bad disease, and our government needs to do a better job to get it over. Poverty will make someone relocate to Libya, knowing that the situation in Libya is not good at this point. But because they want to take care of their family members, because they're tired of seeing their family members wasting away, not being able to feed, not being able to go to a school because they don't know anyone that can help them. They would decide to take that risky journey. Some people will go to Europe by sea. Some people will go by tunnel and crazy things like that, just because they want to make life better for their people. And they believe the risk is worth the reward. If the reward comes, yeah, everybody will enjoy it and they will end up having their family members either set up a business or have them relocate abroad for a better life. So I think if our government is really working, if the system back home is really working, no one will be taking these dangerous decisions. Nobody will be taking on this dangerous trip to Europe, to Libya, to all these countries that are having civil unrest. And a lot of people would, take risk. A lot of people will go to the Arab countries to work as a caregiver or work as a house help just because they want to help their family members. And many of those people have bachelor's degrees, many of them master's degrees, many of them graduated with good grades in college. But because they don't have any system to support them back home, they're having to turn to many jobs to be able to help their family members, which is a good thing. Before you can enjoy, you have to toil. You have to, pay the price before you can enjoy. So maybe that's the price you have to pay. But if they were born in a working system, they won't have to go through that risk. They won't have to go through that toiling to be able to make ends meet. And it's just sad. I usually think about it. People that are born in villages in Nigeria, unless God helps them, without the help of God, life is going to be difficult. Life's already difficult for people in the city, people in the diaspora. If you're born in a village where it's nothing working, it's gonna be difficult. It's gonna be difficult surviving. So, and I hope we don't only depend on God. It's good to depend on God, but some things we can change. Some things God has given us the power, the abilities to make those changes. And until we start making those changes, God will just be watching us and not do anything.
Yeah, that's completely correct. And another thing is this notion that people are wasting away. Or maybe they have heard some stories, from their friends, how, somebody study engineering or somebody study mechanical engineering in Nigeria, and here they are working as a caregiver. I think it's right time that the federal government, Nigerian government start giving, paying attention to Nigerian education system. For some people, and unfortunately, I did not graduate before I came here. But for some people that graduated and they were working and stuff like that, when they came to America, I don't know about UK, I don't know about Canada, I don't know about other countries. But for some of them, when you get here, you have to take a further exam, take some exam to prove to them that you actually went to school. Our certificate, but they barely recognize it here. And that is why some people, when they come, they don't feel like, reliving that life again. They just want to, get something doing and start supporting their families and their loved ones. So I think Nigerian government should pay attention to educational system and bring this educational system up to standard, up to the point that, when you are educated in Nigeria, anywhere in the world, you can use that certificate to work. You don't have to prove yourself further. Our Nigerian people are able to study nursing in the Philippines, and they come here, and then they use that certificate to go into the workforce direct. They don't have to do any other thing. People are able to study medicine in India, and they come here and they go into the workforce direct. People are able to study in fact, in South America, people are able to study, come here, and go into the workforce. But Nigeria, no, you can't. You have to take further exam. They'll probably tell you to take more classes. I think that was what frustrated that my friend, that the husband is a doctor, that was a doctor in Nigeria. Maybe he couldn't pass, the board exam. And those are some of the limitations, some of the problems, or some of the reasons why, people veer off from their career path, and you'll be thinking that, just people are wasting away. It's more than you can see. There is more to that than, you can see.
Yeah, I mean, and even in Nigeria, at this point, there are some travel nurses that do get visas to the US, and all they have to do is maybe pass the board exam, and they'll be able to do the work. They'll do the board exam while in Nigeria, and once they're offered the position, they can bring their family members, and they'll work for that agency for a particular agreed upon time. In that way, they can get their freedom, get the permanent residency that they need, and from there, get their citizenship. So, to some extent, that system is still working, but we just need to make sure that they have up to date curriculum. Some people are still being taught using old curriculums that no longer applies to the 21st century. So, I think it's important that our education sector gets better. And I know some nurses can still get jobs from Nigeria. I don't know about doctors. I don't know about other professions. As long as they have the right experience, as long as they have the right certifications, the right licenses, they can always practice. Can always practice.
Yeah, I mean, I think the education system in Nigeria, they need to do better. In fact, I have an uncle that lives in Ohio. In Nigeria, he was a vibrant lawyer, citizen lawyer. Since he's been here for close to 20 years, he's been a HVAC technician. So you see how life, how some of these things can quickly change. So Nigeria, they need to take our education system serious. If when you get educated in Nigeria, if you study medicine, you study nursing, you study petroleum engineering, you should be able to get here and just go into the workforce. But what we see today is, you see a lot of people, educated, economists, this and that, but they are still not able to work because some of what they did is, almost irrelevant or almost, nothing to write home about. And some Nigerian schools, they don't give transcript is another problem. You try to take your transcript from some of those Nigerian schools, it takes forever. Everybody wants you to lobby them. I tried to take my transcript one time. It took me almost 6 months, and I just told them, you know what, just forget about it. So I think they should, take care of some of these hurdles, some of these problems. I think when they do, people can, quickly transition into something better here. Thank you for listening to us, and we hope to see you in the comment section. Let us know what you think. Do you think people moving from Africa, specifically from Nigeria, will just come here to waste their lives? You think they should have stayed back home, or we should, they should have stayed back home and then build businesses, multi-billion or multi-million dollar businesses? Let us know what you think, and then hope to engage you in the comment section. Thank you.